We're in the studio with Ross Romano, who's running for the Progressive Conservative Party, Ontario PCs. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Let's get right to it. Why are you here? Why are you running?
Well, it really starts for me as growing up at a young age. I was always interested in politics. I remember being 14. There was one specific defining moment, you can say, in my life where I recall being really worried about our future in this city. As a young person in that age bracket, I knew lots of youth were leaving the Soo. A lot of high school students were leaving to go away to school, and there was a lot of people worried about whether or not they'd ever be able to return to Sault Ste. Marie and find jobs. And within certainly my circle, it was a common discussion. And I was scared. I was afraid for what I would do tomorrow and whether I would ever find work in the city and I'd be able to raise a family here. And it was scary. And I remember being very worried about it. And I thought to myself, one day maybe I'll make a difference. Maybe one day I can do something to bring some kind of change to this city. And I promised myself that day that I would find a way to do that one day. Fast forward to 2001, and I was in law school in Windsor. And on the first day of school, I met both my wife, who I'm now married to, Heather, and I also met Patrick Brown. And Patrick Brown and I developed a very close friendship over those 3 years, played hockey together for our law school team. And a couple of years ago, he became the leader of the PC party. The night he became the leader, I was sitting with my wife, and we were watching it together on television. And as he was declared the new leader of the party, my wife looked at me and she said, you know, you have to do this. I want to do it, but what are your feelings on it? And she encouraged me and said, you have to. There's never been an opportunity like this in Sault Ste. Marie. And it dawned on me. I've always said everything happens for a reason. And I think maybe it did in this instance because I realized this is the opportunity for me to fulfill a promise I made to myself when I was 14 years old. And that's why I'm doing this.
So you want to be MPP, someone's going to be MPP. What do you think, what quality above all others does that person need over this next year?
Well, I think the number one quality is you have to be willing to advocate. You have to be willing to fight for your constituents. You have to be willing to fight for the people who need services, need help. You need to be in a position to fight for the community. And I think that breaks down into several categories. There's certainly elements of compassion that are required. There's elements of common sense and a capacity to be able to fight for someone. Some of the most important qualities I think that are needed are respect, love and respect, and certainly an energy and a passion and a drive, a commitment to be able to fight and to have the proper work ethic to be able to fight on behalf of your community in a meaningful way.
So, I mean, above all else, what would you say you bring to this fight?
Well, I think I have the capacity. I'd like to say I do, but I think I'll leave that to everyone else to decide. I believe I have the commitment and the work ethic and the drive. I know I have the energy and the commitment to it, but of course, again, that's for everyone else to decide whether they believe that's true. And I believe I have the work ethic, and I've tried to display that throughout my period as a lawyer in this community for 13 years, where I've advocated for clients in our courts every day. I've been a trial lawyer for the last 13 years. I believe that I have demonstrated my work ethic to this community through my period of time on City Council and having served on a number of different boards and committees and chaired a number of them. I believe I've demonstrated my work ethic and my commitment to this community through this campaign, which for me started on December 16th, 2016. And I have been working tirelessly ever since that day to be in a position to be here with you today and to be in a position to run not only on June 1st, 2017, but on June 7th, 2018. My team and I have been to every single door in the city of Sault Ste. Marie. We started on January the 7th, knocking on doors, and we have been to every single door in Sault Ste. Marie twice, and now we're actually on our third run through of the city.
So I guess I should ask you, the Liberal candidate would point out, and I think has, that we're in the unusual, I guess because it's a by-election, we're in a position where voters can choose, they will know when they're voting that they could be voting either for the member of the governing party or not. Why should we not vote for the member of the governing party?
I think that the governing party, the Liberal Party that has been in power for the last 14 years in Ontario has not done a good job in Ontario, and certainly not in Northern Ontario. And I think that most people would say that they've struggled with the way our region, specifically our city, has been treated over this period of time. We see far too many problems. There's far too much waste and scandal and mismanagement, billions of dollars being wasted, lots of corruption, OPP investigations. This is not the kind of table I think we want to be sitting at. Some would argue, and I know the Liberal candidate argues, that you want a seat at the table and that's the best thing for the Sioux. I disagree. I think that I would rather not be a part of that table because it's a broken table. I would rather be across the room and constantly fighting on behalf of what's important to us in Sault Ste. Marie. I think if you're at that table, you don't have the ability to fight Kathleen Wynne. You don't have the ability to argue with Kathleen Wynne about her policies and about her lack of desire to bring meaningful change to Sault Ste. Marie.
I guess that's kind of my follow-up question. I think you're starting to answer it, but this whole idea that we'd benefit from having a member who's part of the governing party, you don't agree with that?
I do not agree with it, and I think you can look to a few examples. You look at someone like David Orzetti, who was a champion in Sault Ste. Marie, and he fought hard. And I'm not going to take credit away from someone because they were a Liberal or whether they're NDP. I will give credit where credit is deserved. He fought hard for Sault Ste. Marie. He wasn't able to bring OLG jobs to our community. He wasn't able to make this the main corporate office of OLG in Ontario. And he was at the table for 13 years. He was a cabinet minister. So to think that a new candidate is going to come forward, and let's be realistic here. The election is June 1st. The legislature closes on June 2nd, which is a Friday. It doesn't sit on June 2nd nonetheless. We're starting up again. Our legislature in Ontario opens in September. And then there's an election on June 7th of 2018. So there really isn't a year even. There's mere months. And to think that the new candidate's going to come in and affect some kind of meaningful change in a matter of months that a cabinet minister serving Sault Ste. Marie for 13 years wasn't capable of doing or wasn't able to convince Kathleen Wynne to do, to me is certainly not accurate.
You've talked about a number of issues. What do you think has been the defining issue of this campaign?
Well, hydro is certainly the biggest issue that I hear at people's doors, but I think that is probably equally an equally important issue would be jobs. Now, jobs is an issue in Sault Ste. Marie that we have been challenged with for decades. Hydro is the topic of the day.
Right. Everybody would like lower hydro prices.
Absolutely. But certainly, notwithstanding it's the topic of the day, jobs in our community continues to be, in my opinion, the frontline issue in Sault Ste. Marie.
And I guess I should ask, and here's the last question that I'm asking everyone. This is a late by-election, as you point out. There is less than a year, I guess, of actual work time. In your first 100 days, if you could accomplish one thing, what would that be?
Well, my first priority is going to be with respect to the Ring of Fire. There's a series of them, quite frankly, and I think that I would not define one more over another. Number one, though, in speaking about the Ring of Fire is an incredible opportunity for Sault Ste. Marie, for Northern Ontario, for the province, for the country. $60 billion in the ground, fourth largest supply of chromite in the world. The opportunity to work with our local Indigenous groups and create a true partnership, to work together to develop the Ring of Fire and to see a smelter come home to Sault Ste. Marie. Smelter alone, between its building, you're talking about 300 to 500 jobs, And staffing it, you're talking about another approximately 500 jobs. And then in terms of indirect jobs within that facility, another approximately 1,500 jobs. That doesn't even include all of the economic spin-offs that create jobs in the community, in your food industry, your entertainment industry, etc. So the opportunity for jobs is so incredible there. Now, you say the first 100 days, we need to start developing the proper relationships. We need to start working with our local Indigenous partners. I've already been meeting with some of these individuals over the course of not this campaign, but in fact prior to even becoming the candidate for the PC party in November of 2016. I've been working towards that. It'll make it a little bit easier to work towards that if you're already a sitting MPP and a member of the PC caucus looking to tomorrow, where I believe the government will go in Ontario in June of 2018. The other area is in healthcare. Just this morning we did a press conference at the Davie home speaking about a PET scanner. A PET scanner is an incredible opportunity and something that we believe is crucial in Sault Ste. Marie, and I know our frontline staff at the hospitals would agree with that. This is a device that allows us to have it's a mobile PET scanner, so you can have it travel from Sault Ste. Marie all the way to Barrie. Every week it's in a different region. And it is something that is so important because it detects things like cancers, lung disease, various heart disorders, even mental health disorders. So there's such an incredible opportunity to provide a service that we need, and that isn't a difficult ask. It's a $500,000 ask. It takes months to set up, and we won't be forcing people, as we do currently, to drive all the way to Toronto to get these scans done and be away from the comfort of their family and loved ones and their homes. On the OLG side, I believe there's some critical work that needs to be done on OLG, and I would really like to address the fact that when the Peterson Liberal government did an amazing thing by moving out government jobs out of the Toronto region and moving them into rural areas like Sault Ste. Marie, and where we ended up with OLG head offices, those have all been bled back to Toronto. We have just over 300 or just under 350 jobs in Sault Ste. Marie at OLG, yet in Toronto there's over 1,200 of them. All of the executives are in Toronto. Nobody is fooled. This is not the corporate head office of OLG, and it ought to be, as was envisioned by the Peterson Liberal government way back when they created it.